Alright, and we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the second game. It is going to be Bizzy versus dRaW. And yeah, I'm probably going to do shorter ad breaks today because we are, of course, on my own stream, my personal stream, instead of the Team Liquid stream. Because anyone's unaware, there was some weird Twitch issue recently where they just like reset everybody's passwords or something. So so I didn't have access to the TL stream. So yes, but that's good for you. So that means shorter ads, just enough time for me to do all the behind the scenes things and all that good jazz. Yeah, awesome. Anyway, so PvT again, it's going to be on Wind and Cloud, and it's gonna be interesting. So you know, Wind and Cloud, sort of a newish map. Well, I guess as far as maps nowadays, it is a new map created by Ro16, the Super Gosu Korean map maker. For Sonic's leagues, the Sonic Star League, and we have gone and decided to use that map as well because it's a pretty good map. It's a pretty interesting map, and I'm interested to see what happens here in this PvT because, of course, in a ZVZ you generally don't really get to showcase a map's features, right? It's very quick and dirty matchup that generally ends before you get more than 2 bases. But PvT, if it gets to the long game, you can definitely see some interesting things. So yeah, that should be good. I'm a little bit worried for dRaW though, because of course Bizzy is very, very strong Terran player, particularly in TVZ, but his TVP is very strong as well. And dRaW has some difficulty in PvT. He actually got knocked out of last season of TLS by 2 Terrans, Rams and Skyline, who were in his round of 16 group. So that was a little bit unfortunate for him. Actually, am I remembering that right? Anyway, yeah, I think Rams and Skyline were both in this group. I don't think Rams made it out either, but anyway, yeah, that is definitely dRaw's weak matchup. On the other hand, I do know that dRaw's actually been practicing quite a bit recently. He's been streaming a lot. Bizzy has been streaming as well, but every time I watch Bizzy stream, he's like playing his off race for some reason. He keeps playing Zerg, so I don't know what's up with that, but I guess we'll see here. Anyway, let us just go into the game. Alright, here we go into game number 2. At the bottom right is the yellow Protoss, we do have SAS dRaW. At the bottom left as the TL Terran, who did also play on SAS in Gambit's Cup, we do have Bizzy, who I think is otherwise on Team Pain, Bizzy Pain. By the way, slight correction, it was apparently Terror who beat the Peruvian Terran who beat dRaW last season, and not the players I mentioned. Well, I'm pretty sure either Scott, I could have sworn one of those guys was in dRaw's group, maybe not. Maybe I'm just like completely crazy. It was dRaW, Doty, Terror, oh, and Eonzerg, I guess? Okay, so I guess it was only one Terran. It was Terran Eonzerg who advanced. Yeah, I think that's right. Anyway, yeah, PvT, not a matchup we get to see too much in the in foreigner individual leagues, at least. Saw a good amount of it in Gambit's Cup, the team league, but we have a lot of Zergs. So, yeah, interesting to see what happens here. So dRaW, I'm not too familiar with his PvT style, to be honest. And Bizzy, I'm not too familiar with his TVP style. One thing to note, though, that because of the architecture of Wind and Cloud, you can't really do a very easy 3-base turtle. So obviously you have your natural, nice and easy peasy out here to defend. But the third base, it's a little bit tricky. You know, you've got like these high ground ridges. It looks kind of like Gladiator in the middle of the map. You've got like high ground things around the map, and then you've got like an open middle. But the third base is going to be a little bit tricky to take. You kind of have to move out of your natural into the open ground, kind of move up onto the high ground and take that base, or even the 6 block if you want, but this is even further away. So it's not like a map like Fighting Spirit where you can very easily take 3 bases. So the very popular TVP style nowadays of turtling on 3 base into, you know, maxing out is not really something that you can do on this map. Anyway, I see some people having some issues with the chat. I actually had some issues with the Twitch chat earlier on. I think if you just refresh a few times, it'll hopefully work. Alternatively, you can go post in the awesome live report thread. That is a good choice as well. You should be doing that even if your chat works. Live report or die, as they say. And by they, I mean as I say, but, you know. Anyway, it looks like Bizzy. Doing everything as normal. Pulled two guys off gas, so it's almost certainly going to be an FD. One tank. 5-6 Marines plus Vultures into expansion. And so you got one gate Goon with range. Is he just gonna go one gate expand? Is he gonna get a Robo first, do some Reaver shenanigans? I don't know. It's interesting to note to how late this probe scout is though. He didn't even scout until after his range started. That is like mega late probe scout. If you're gonna scout that late, you might as well like not even probe scout. Oh, unless you're gonna do that. Oh, it's because it's not a scout. Well, it could be a scout. It could go to the top right now, or it's just gonna go home. This SCP is looking at this probe. He's like, "What? Wait, where did he come from?" Because obviously Bizzy spawned in the bottom left, and then the probe came from the bottom left. He's like, "Why did that probe come from over there?" If I was Bizzy, I would just immediately go see what's going on here. It's like obviously some shenanigans, unless he wasn't paying attention. But I don't know. Bizzy seems to have pretty high APM, so it's interesting. By the way, Bizzy actually, I didn't even notice this, but this is actually Bizzy's second SCV scout. His first SCV scout unfortunately went the wrong direction, so he actually sent out a second one. That's not very common. It's something like you occasionally do in TVZ. Or PVZ, but rarely in TVP do I see this double SCV scout. He's a little bit nervous about dRaW doing some kind of cheesy shenanigans, because of course this is still a best of one match. So it's definitely possible. Anyway, it looks like another SCV coming out, or maybe it's the same SCV. Actually, it's probably the same SCV. You might be going to look for this thing. You might be looking at the 6 o'clock for proxies or something like that. Either way, this is basically like a fake out pylon by dRaW. He just built that pylon somewhere random to kind of scare Bizzy. If he somehow got the SCV into the base, he would notice a pylon was missing, maybe freak out and think there was a proxy robo, but it's obviously nothing serious like that. Anyway, there's the mines, there are the Vultures, there's the SCV going out to make a command center. It looks like one Dragoon going to take a bit of damage, but only shield damage, so that's okay. You can see the first goon actually went to check out the top right. So you know, as I was saying, dRaw's super late probe wasn't even a scout. He was just going to scout with the goons, and that's actually fine to do in PvT. Generally, you know, depending on what build you're doing, some builds basically don't really require you to scout because you're going to do basically the same thing regardless of what the Terran's doing anyway. Which is the case here with the 2-gate kind of power goon expand. Not really power goon, you have to make more than 4 goons I think for it to be called power goon. But 2-gate expand here is not really going to change based on what the opponent build is. Ugh, it's quite yucky. So that's why he didn't really probe scout. And this is one Vulture is actually stuck around here. So Bizzy actually laid the mines offensively because he got the SCV scout in. He saw 2 gateways, so he knows that moving out is basically suicide here. 2-gate goon is enough to, well, it's enough to even stop a 2-fact. So there's no way an FD is really going to make any headway. So instead laid the mine defensively and tried to sneak a Vulture around to maybe go in the base again, get a couple of probe kills, get a scout off. That would have been really nice if he'd able to, if he was able to get that. But dRaW very smartly actually blocking the ramp here. A lot of players would just leave the rally point at the natural and just like let the goons go out. Whew, excuse me. But dRaW, I think, having seen the mines laid defensively already, and obviously knowing that Bizzy scouted him, probably saw a move like that coming, so he very smartly blocked that off. Try to like move this guy in the back though, so it doesn't inadvertently just die straight away. But in any case, looks like we got the second factory on the way. The expansion's mining away happily. Looks like one more Vulture is going to poke out here. This is an interesting pylon. Presumably this is just a spot for any incoming dropships, of course, sneaking along the south side of the map. Can't really, yeah, that's basically what that's for. And looks like dRaW has now just started mining his natural soul. That's a very fast gas. Is he going 2-base Arbiter? Ah, he is going 2-base Arbiter. Interesting, okay. So, 2-base arbs from dRaW, and Bizzy though is just going to go for this this 2-fact timing here after the FD, and this could actually work really well because dRaW seems to have you know, cut Dragoon production a little bit, obviously to get the super fast arbiters out, but he is making 2 DTs. Now, does Bizzy have mobile detection? No, he doesn't have his comsat yet, so those DTs should keep dRaW alive here. but Bizzy may be able to get some nice damage in the natural, get some pro kills or something. And of course, DTs by themselves have a very difficult time dealing with Vultures, so even if you have DTs out and dRaW doesn't die, if Vultures can sneak into the main, they could get some pro kills. But it looks like dRaW is going to have enough here, even in terms of the Dragoon count. He actually does have an okay number of Dragoons. Bizzy gonna maybe pick off these 2 pylons, but as soon as the DT comes out, he knows he's gonna have to retreat here. There's nothing he can do about it. He's gotta be careful not to get mind bombed as well on the way out. Ooh! dRaW needs to not have these together. He's gonna kill himself with mines. But it looks like dRaW is building pylons everywhere so Vultures don't get into his base. He's even blocking off his goons a little bit. Not a huge fan of that pylon. Don't want your goons to be bugging out where they can accidentally like blow themselves up with mines. Bizzy meanwhile letting his money get a little bit high while microing in that engagement. Meanwhile dRaW getting his additional gateways while his first Arbiter's on the way. This is a super fast Arbiter. Look at how fast that is. And I don't know what these Vultures are doing. Alright, Bizzy is gonna have a laugh here. Micro 1 Vulture. He's actually trying to bait these goons into mines. That would have been amusing if that actually worked. And this thing's actually going to go again here. So he does have 2 comsats now. So there'll be 1 scan apiece, but he's got to make good use of them. Still has to be careful. And a couple more factories on the way for him. The first Arbiter should be coming out soon. Okay, it's just over halfway done. And they do take forever to build, so I guess he will still have a little bit of time here. So there's 1 scan gone, so 1 scan remaining for Bizzy, and dRaW actually looks like he lost one of the DTs earlier to a spider mine or something, so he only had the 1 there. So Bizzy still has 1 scan even when that Arbiter comes out, and actually dRaw's in a little bit of trouble here. Bizzy coming out with a very strong force here, just not giving dRaW any time to macro up, any time to really get his tech going. dRaW was kind of hoping, obviously, that Bizzy wouldn't attack too quickly because he wanted to get his armor tech out, but now dRaW is losing control of his natural expansion. There are mines being laid here. The Arbiter is not going to help against those. An attempted Suicide Dragoon does not do anything here. Another Suicide Dragoon is targeted down. dRaW is just trying to get the mines out of the way. Finally, a Zealot comes out to help out, and no, it still doesn't trigger the mines. It looks like with that last mine cleared, it could be good. No! God, that is so annoying. Now remember, of course, that because dRaW went 2-base Arbiter, he doesn't have Observers, because he doesn't have the gas to do so. So he just has to sacrifice units to get rid of these mines. But it looks like DD might get a good mine drag. It does get a decent mine drag. Could have been a little bit better, but another Vulture coming in to lay some more mines. There's another scan to give himself another free Dragoon kill. And man, dRaw's is in so much trouble. He's just mining the natural gas right now. That's all he can mine. Just constantly using these DDs to clear the mines for him, which they are doing a pretty good job. It looks like even going to use the Arbiter to cloak some Zealots. I mean, since the Arbiter's here, you might as well just use Zealots. No point using the more expensive DTs when you can get cloaked anyway. And there's actually no anti-air here. Oh, looks like Bizzy's run out of scans. He has run out of detection, and that is probably going to give dRaW. Well, it's going to give him his natural back at least. But these mines, man, just still doing a number on him. It's like meanwhile SCV blocking the tank from going back home. In the meantime, what's going on back here in the main base of Bizzy? Looks like, ooh, he cut a lot of SCVs to actually do that. Not very many SCVs at the natural. Meanwhile, 1 SCV going to go out, maybe check for hidden third bases from dRaW. But obviously we can see that he doesn't have one. And dRaW, despite all that, is still in the supply lead. 76 against 68. He's getting his observers out now, so he can finally deal with the spider mines a little bit better. And he's got his Arbiter out. Now, I didn't actually notice what spell he got. That's a recall on the way. I don't know if he got stasis already or he just didn't even bother. We can see Bizzy actually, despite not really having very many SCVs, is just going to go ahead and get a third base anyway because he is keeping up the pressure here. Man, this is some crazy aggression for a Terran player here. And wow, he's actually going to abuse this nice little cliff, this high ground position outside dRaw's base here. He's going to be able to cliff quite a ways here. I don't know exactly how far up that tank will reach, but it'll be quite far. It'll basically mean dRaW can't really leave his base without getting shelled from the high ground. It's going to be a real pain in the butt. But one thing to remember though is that because dRaW went for 2-base Arbiter and he's getting recall, you know, if Bizzy sets up invests too much in a contain here, dRaW could just go for a huge counter recall in Bizzy's main and just take the game that way. I've seen that happen so many times where it looks like Terran's in an amazing position and one recall just completely turns the game around. So that's definitely something Bizzy should be aware of, especially because he knows this Arbiter's out right now. I mean, the only real threat to him once he set up this contain is getting recalled in the base. So, you gotta be careful. And, and here we go. The Arbiter is moving out here. The Vultures are going home. Is he gonna get back in time to lay some mines? He's got to lay lines all over the place. He's got a science facility on the way. Here we go. The turret's going up. The mines are going up. But I don't know if he's gonna have enough in time, though. Here we go. Oh, he's gonna go right on top of the line, though. Oh, no, he's going right on top of the mines. And it looks like, though, most of the goons actually do survive, surprisingly, and here we go. This is what I was talking about. Now, there is no observer, it looks like, with this army, so he's still got to be careful about remaining spider mines, but with so few units now, Bizzy's going to take some severe damage in this attack here, and it looks like Bizzy, though, with a couple of siege tanks coming out and some vultures, is he going to have enough? It looks like with the SCVs pulled, he is going to have enough to defend this. But remember, dRaW does have another Arbiter. He can actually go for another recall if he wants to in the near future. But I'm sure Bizzy's going to start preparing a lot better for that. It looks like the Dragoons are still going to do damage here. Still be a pain in the butt in the main base. Random dropship coming back. But remember, Bizzy does have this third command center on the way as well. And he hasn't really lost any infrastructure, any important buildings. I mean, the science facility looks like it was canceled or killed or something. I think it was just canceled. And the starport's relocating. But other than that, other than the delayed science facility, this drop hasn't really done an insane amount of damage. Or the recall, excuse me. And this counter drop in the main could actually do a lot here. dRaW is pulling back his Zealots. He's got to be careful not to mind bomb his own probes. And it looks like while getting distracted by that drop, the remaining goons here from the recall are going to get taken down. But here we go. The second Arbiter is coming in. He's going to go for another recall. There are mines being laid. He's got to be careful to avoid them. The Arbiter is spotted by the engineering bay. Just making sure nothing's going on with that recall. And here we go. He's going to recall right on top of the siege tanks. Directly on top of the mines again. Hitting some of the Zealots and killing a couple of the Dragoons. But the remaining Zealots are alive here. He's actually going after the comsat station. So there's no detection for the... but the Arbiter's actually not even covering the units here. The Arbiter needs to come in and cover these units. Oh man, this mine could actually kill SCVs. It's not quite going to get it. SCV is actually fighting against these Zealots now. But that was a nice snipe on the comsat. Now there are 2 scans on that comsat, no comsat on the third command center. Meanwhile, Zealots now. Oh! dRaW tries to do a stasis block on the ramp. It looks like he's not quite successful though. He sort of missed it, and also the SCVs stacked to try and block it. But it looks like that Zealot stasis has actually just blocked the ramp anyway here. So dRaW now, with control of Bizzy's main base, is going to target down the armory. Meanwhile, his natural expansion is fine. Bizzy has the contain, but he doesn't have enough units to just attack into dRaw's base. But it looks like a counter draw. Oh my god, a 9-kill vulture in the back here. A 9-kill vulture. Presumably all probe kills. It looks like a counter drop did a good job. Their armory barely surviving, even though it was on fire. One Arbiter falling. Another Arbiter with only 36 energy. Does dRaw have a third Arbiter? Did he make a third Arbiter? He did. Oh my god, he's attacking his own Arbiter! Why are you attacking your own Arbiter, dRaw? Oh my god, could you imagine if he had killed his own Arbiter that had all the energy? How sad he would be. I have no idea how that happened. Just an absolutely potentially devastating misclick there, but he did take a lot of HP off of that Arbiter somehow. I'm sure that must have been just that Dragoon, because there was no anti-air there for Bizzy. The only thing that could have attacked that Arbiter was the Dragoon, but it looks like dRaw gonna try and make use of the fact that Bizzy's taking so much damage, is now playing defensively to start breaking out. Look at this, being very cost efficient with individual Zealots, and gonna start poking that down. Meanwhile, is this mine actually in vision range? Oh, it is barely in vision range. He does see that Arbiter. Looks like the goons coming out as well. You still have to be careful. There are still a good number of siege tanks on that high ground here. But we have seen that dRaw does have stasis now as well, so we will be able to use that. But unfortunately, look at this. He's getting pretty close to mined out in his main base. And again, Bizzy has that third base. Bizzy, despite taking a lot of damage, just has so much income right now compared to dRaw. As long as he can stabilize, he will be okay. And there's a lot of anti-recall defense in the main base now. Turrets, mines everywhere with some siege tanks in position. And it looks like Bizzy going in with some vultures into the natural. dRaw managed to sneak a few units out the side. He wants to get a third base up. And we will be able to, because this contain is only blocking the south side here. You can still sneak units out the top side, I think, just barely. If probes transfer there, they'll probably be out of range of the tanks. I'm not quite sure about that, because it depends partly on also the pathing of the probes. Anyway, looks like the vultures, though, are going to just take out the goons by themselves. There are enough of them. They do have +1 attack, and here we go. Another recall. No! The recall doesn't go off. The Arbiter is taken out. It's probably for the best, actually, because the recall probably would have just gotten annihilated by the minefield. But dRaw now in a little bit of trouble. Somehow he still has the supply lead at 118 to 96, but he is still contained here. That small ragtag team of units that did get out have been taken out, and Bizzy actually is banking a lot of money, slipping a little bit on the macro, possibly just because he's getting so occupied with this mine laying in his main base. You can see it's also messing up a little bit, blocking space for factories and whatnot. I mean, you can see dRaW really wants to go for another recall here, but I don't know. I feel like another recall could be bad for him. In fact, if he just loses all of those units to spider mines, and it's really unfortunate for him that he doesn't see the third base. He might even just recall the third, or in fact, he could even recall the natural here. Instead of the main, I don't know, take out one of the expansions. No, he's actually just going to recall it onto the map here to break the contain. Oh my god, very interesting idea here from dRaW, and it looks like he, with that, and with units coming out from the main, he might be able to do it here. He needs some more units from the main. There are not very many units from the main base. A couple of the turrets are going to pick off the Arbiter, but I think dRaW is going to break out here, even making an Archon, because he doesn't have enough to just, to only have the goons and zealots here. I guess he had a bit of extra gas or something. And there we go, the contain is now broken. But I mean, dRaW is still needs to get another base. I think he should maybe double expand now or something. The problem is I don't think he even knows about this third base. If he knew about this third base, he would definitely just move out now to kill it off or double expand or something. But it definitely, the way he's playing, I have to feel like he thinks that Bizzy is still on his original two bases. So I think dRaW actually feels more ahead in this game than he actually is. I don't think he's ahead at all. In fact, I think, you know, despite the damage that he's done, I would say he's behind, even breaking out of that contain, because the supplies, he doesn't have a huge supply lead. It's only about 20 supply difference. And that's fine for Terran to be a little bit behind in a TVP. And Bizzy, you can see, is still doing these Vulture harass, still doing the Vulture harass, and still mining away from that third base, which has absolutely zero defense at it. I mean, dRaW could just shut this base down with 2 Zealots. You just run 2 Zealots around the top side and take it out. He just doesn't know about it. And this is just, I mean, it's a little bit poor scouting, to be honest. He doesn't even have any observers on the map. He seems to be lacking in observers, despite obviously having enough gas to just make an Archon, so that's a little bit worrying. Meanwhile, he's finally getting third base up, blocking this off with pylons, and but he's still being defensive with the army. He's clearing out some mines with Dragoons, but as long as he doesn't take out the third or get a fourth base, one or the other, he's still going to have some trouble later on, because Bizzy's going to macro up a lot faster than he is. So it may just come down to some good use of Arbiters to keep him alive, because yeah, because at the rate this is going, Bizzy's ground army is going to be way stronger than his. You can see the supplies are evening out very quickly here. Only a 10 supply lead now for dRaW. dRaW, though, is moving out with his Dragoons. Again, just going to try and get rid of as much of that map control, that map vision as possible. And, ooh, it looks like the Vultures barely break down that pylon, but it doesn't really matter. They can just get taken out pretty easily here. Meanwhile, Bizzy is getting a hidden expansion at the top left main, and, you know, because dRaW basically has no map vision, I mean, if we just look at dRaw's vision right now, it's just, oops, that's not dRaw's vision, that's dRaw's vision. It's very limited. Look at the minimap. He's just now sending an observer out, and surely he must realize now with all these units here that that Bizzy actually has that third base, but you can see dRaW just doesn't really see anything on the map. No observer scouting, no probes or zealots checking for extra bases for Bizzy. I mean, this is a pretty critical mistake from dRaW, as well as he's playing besides that, you know, with good counterattacking and recalls. Really needs to get some scouting information here, but it looks like he might just be going for a huge attack at the front here. And Bizzy has actually focused a lot of his defenses along the north side here, and he's got very little Vulture defense here. Those tanks are very clumped. He could get a nice double stasis here. He's got max energy on this Arbiter. Could be a stasis recall or something. There's one stasis. Is there going to be another stasis? He can do whatever he wants, and there's the other stasis on the 3 tanks, and it looks like dRaW might just go for the kill here. He doesn't even need to know about the third base. He doesn't even care. He saw it. He's going for the kill. Does he have enough, though? He has so much stuff, and Bizzy did not have Vultures with mines in position. I don't know why there was no minefield blocking these siege tanks here. I don't know what Bizzy was thinking. A nice defense matrix on that tank, but it doesn't even matter. The damage gets through anyway. The Goliaths stand no chance against the Protoss army, and Bizzy could suddenly fall to this great attack from dRaW. Oh man, nice mine bomb in the mineral line as well. I'm really perplexed by what Bizzy was doing here. I mean, he had almost even supply with dRaW, but his army just wasn't really here. I don't understand why. I mean, did he just have too many SCVs or something? Either way, Bizzy is now in a lot of trouble here, losing most of his army. However, Protoss force has been whittled down a lot as well. dRaW is only left with, you know, a control group and a half of units, but it's probably going to be enough because in these small numbers, the Protoss army is so much more efficient than the Terran army. Bizzy is just in crisis management mode right now. dRaW is mining away happily from his third base. Bizzy's got his fourth base up at the top left, but it doesn't matter. He can't send SCVs there. He can't start mining there. One Archon's going to finish off this base by itself. And Bizzy is now mined out from his main and his natural as well, so Bizzy really needs that third base to stay up here. His main and his natural are basically gone. One patch left. Let's actually see how many SCVs he has here. Does he have too many SCVs? It's a good number. That's not too many. but he is now down at 78 supply against 121. It is looking very, very grim for Bizzy, who looked like he was ahead for a lot of the game here, just to a good counterattacking recalls from dRaW. Have pulled himself back into the game and probably have won it for him. I mean, Bizzy's transferred some of his SCVs over to the top left main here. He can actually use these SCVs to try and block off and stabilize a little bit. He really needs them to, actually, because he doesn't have any units to do it. And meanwhile, he's going to go counterattack with some vultures here. Note, by the way, that dRaW is only mining from this one base. His main and natural are mined out as well. He is taking the 12 o'clock as a hidden expansion, but otherwise, you know, they're both, I guess, technically on one base. I mean, Bizzy's one base isn't fully saturated, whereas dRaw's is heavily saturated. But yeah, both actually are now on fairly low eco, and dRaW, despite looking in a really strong position, doesn't have a huge supply lead still. And as you can see, only 5 Dragoons remaining left over from the attack, and Bizzy now going to switch over to just doing some Vulture Harass, trying to get himself back. dRaW does have a nice amount of units. You can see he's really focused on defending his base, does not want to let anything happen to his last source of income here. You can see he's got nothing banked. He's very short. He's again going to rely on making some High Templar. I don't even know if he has Storm, if he's going to make another Archon. Yeah, he's just going to make some Archons. That's kind of a sign of somewhat desperation in PvT when you're reduced to making Archons, which shows you don't really have enough mineral income. Just reduced to making those super cheap, well, mineral-wise Archons. But look at this hidden base, though, could be very, very crucial. He's even building a couple of cannons here. He could even block this off. Unfortunately, remember, the pylon's too high, but if his pylon was a little bit lower, he could actually just block this off, I think, with one gateway. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it looks like he can. In the meantime, this mine-clearing force is still just holding position here. Note that Archons do not trigger spider mines because they count as floating instead of walking on the ground for some reason. So, see, it's kind of weird. Anyway, oh man, nice stasis on the vessel. The Archon gets taken down immediately. That's a pretty nice defensive position for Bizzy, though. But unfortunately, oh man, nice mine draft, but there's 4 more tanks in the back, and the SCVs are blocking. Bizzy needs the SCVs to block for him because there's no vultures, but there's one zealot closing with the tanks, and dRaw's moving it. Isn't enough, though. There's some more SCVs in the back. These guys should all be fighting right now. Every last man, woman, and child needs to defend Bizzy's base right now. I guess he doesn't even have any women and children, so it's every last man. Come on, SCVs. You can do it. You're unbalanced. There's one sea shank in the back, and that's actually enough. So Bizzy, again, somehow holds his base here, but he's down to 60 supply against 100 supply of dRaW. dRaW now transferring probes over to this hidden expansion. There was one Vulture, though. I think one Vulture's going to see it. But the problem is one Vulture's not enough because there's 2 cannons there, so it doesn't even matter. So, oh, Bizzy's going to see it. Oh, does he see it? He is going to see it, but it doesn't matter. Oh, Bizzy's going to be very sad about this. He's going to be very, very sad. GG! Sees the hidden base and knows he cannot do it. And dRaW taking out Bizzy in the second set here with, I don't know, does that count as a comeback? He was in a pretty hairy position after that mid-game, getting completely contained, but dRaW pulling off the 2 Betis Arbiter, and that means he's going to be playing in the winner's match against Siki. It's going to be a PvZ winner's match. In the loser's match, we'll have a ZVT between Bakuryu and Bizzy coming up after this.